Well, hello and welcome to Business Chat. So happy you could join us today. I'm Gary Stockton with Experian, and I'm with Business Information Services here in North America. We'd love to know where you're joining us from. If we're streaming here from Costa Mesa, California. We're live on LinkedIn and other channels via Restream. Be sure to drop us a comment and hashtag Team Live if you're watching us live. Hashtag Team Replay if you're catching this on the replay. And remember, sharing is caring. If we would love to get those shares on this chat, if you could let your colleagues know that we're talking about APIs and no code by sharing this live stream, that would really help us expand our audience. Today we're going to be talking about no-code technology and Experian APIs with two great experts. Join us from Uncork is Ben Smith. He's the head of banking, and from Experian is Carl Stronach. He's a senior product manager here at Experian, and he works on APIs. Welcome, gentlemen. And so,
Thank you.
Ben, if you could take a moment, please tell us a little bit about Uncork and your mission, where you're based, and how you got started.
Sure. So we were founded in 2017 by Gary Hoberman. Gary was the CIO of MetLife. And Gary basically had a mission to redefine software development, right, and focus on delivering software at enterprise grade, faster with a lower total cost of ownership, and something that could be delivered out to could be delivered by a number of different people, not necessarily people who had significant development talent and experience. So Gary set out in 2017 to redefine how we do it. We are a no-code platform. We are totally cloud-based and agnostic. We're deployed in over 10 countries with over 70 different clients. And the other thing, part of the mission that we have here around the development is that we've trained over 10,000 experts globally who can develop on the platform, because we believe that the no-code environment allows for rapid adoption, and we want that adoption to be significant. So, what it says here is we have three major investors. We have a number of other ones, obviously. BlackRock, Google, and Goldman Sachs are all major investors. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the mission of the firm is to develop enterprise-grade no-code solutions. And so you can kind of see at the bottom of this slide some of our major customers as well.
That's awesome. So, Carl, could you share a little bit about your role here at Experian? You've been at Experian quite a while, and how do you work with companies like Uncork?
Yeah, sure. Happy to, Gary. So my name's Carl Stronach. Been with Experian for almost 7 years, focused on new product development. Really, the last 4 years have been focused all on our APIs. And so bringing Experian business information into our global developer portal. And so in that time, I've worked with, it almost feels like a countless number of banks and FIs and many of our clients across our verticals in their integration with Experian in terms of how are they going to get our data in the most efficient way. And, supported a lot of them from the business side and the IT side, and kind of sat in on both. And I've seen many of our clients really succeed with their integrations with us. That's just a direct integration to our REST API. And others, take a long time. So I'm definitely sensitive to the fact that coding to APIs as easy as we can try to make them with a REST API, and as easy as we can try to make them by adding SDKs or other supporting information on top, it's still difficult and time consuming a lot of the times to code to our APIs. Certainly gets much more complex as we get into regulated data. So yeah, it's definitely something that we want to strategically narrow the time on. How do we get access to data and query it faster than ever before? And so strategically, it's something we're really interested in and excited to be a part of. And working with providers like Uncork, I think, allow us to unlock some of those technologies.
Awesome. It sounds really exciting. So Ben, what's the distinction between low code and no code, and what is driving the adoption of no code technology?
Sure. Yeah, Gary, thanks for the question. The main difference is that everything that we develop on Uncork does not have any native code to it. So you as a developer, it's a completely visual system, and the most important thing is that there's no need to maintain the code once you've written it, right? So even in low code environments, there is of course the upkeep of the code, and ultimately it becomes legacy. Whereas in our system, all of our customers are on the same platform, using the same environment, using the same software to develop their solutions, and they're always up to date. And so that's the big difference: is there's no need to develop that last bit, and there's no need to maintain it once it's out, because as soon as you write a bit of code, you've got to maintain that code going forward.
Okay.
Sorry, to the second point of your question, how are people adopting it? We're seeing it adopted across a number of use cases, right? So for exactly that reason, right? Many, in my world as head of banks, many of our customers in the banking sector are looking for ways to develop both customer-facing as well as internal-facing software that digitizes their workflows, whether that be onboarding, whether that be operations. It just depends on the needs of that particular bank. But again, the sort of rapid development, the ability to get to market faster, and the ability to not have to maintain that code base once it's up and running has been a really powerful kind of part of our value statement.
That's awesome. So Carl, switching to data and APIs, you work with a lot of clients in the banking industry. Can you tell me where in the customer lifecycle lenders are using Experian APIs?
Sure, yeah. So it's really all across the life cycle, from account targeting and finding new customers, to underwriting and account acquisition, to customer management, and even collections. It's really across the full spectrum. To take a step back, everyone thinks of Experian as really the consumer credit bureau. And I am a very big fan of John Cena and Purple Cow. So I think that's how Experian's generally known. But Experian's business goes well beyond just consumer credit. Obviously, we have business credit, and that's sort of our focus here, Gary. But when it comes to our APIs, we bring everything together into a single global developer portal. So what you can do through a single developer account is interface with all Experian information, and we source data internally. So we've got thanks, Gary. That's our developer portal. So we have our North America business information, consumer information, automotive, data quality, decisioning, you name it. It's all really available in one place. And also we have international focus too. So if you go there, you'll see definitely APIs from the UK, from India, from Singapore, all across the globe. And so we really try to be that one-stop shop for Experian data, make it much easier to code to us, and eliminate those silos that used to exist in our own internal legacy systems.
Yes.
Now, I'm really excited by some of the things that Uncork can also do. When we talk about setting up one workflow that can be shared many times and doesn't have to be recoded over and over and over again, we see the same in working with our customers. When we work with our banking customers, a lot of them execute the same exact workflows to get to Experian data. Maybe the data they need is different. Maybe the data they find predictive is different, but it's really a lot of the same workflows. And so as we work with Uncork, we can define more of these workflows, make them predefined, and hopefully just speed time to market, really eliminate a lot of the burdens that it takes to basically take a new integration or basically offer a new product and get it out in the market.
Mm-hmm. So you're finding that customers are applying these new technologies to get to market faster. I got to imagine that was fairly active, during COVID, right? A lot of people spinning up shopping carts and people that have brick and mortar stores. they had to
Mhm.
innovate faster, and it's. Would you agree that platforms like Uncork are helping make that possible? An
Yeah,
API.
absolutely. So absolutely. And so that's even a part of what we're trying to do as well. So as small businesses have had to transform due to COVID, they've had to adopt more digital experiences. And maybe it's a restaurant and they had to change their storefront from having, um, tables and chairs to having just a counter
Yes.
and offering delivery, opening up the restaurant to more kitchen space to handle a greater number of orders coming in. I think we have also tried to capture new data assets that can tap into that business's digital transformation. So we've done a lot to acquire more online data on businesses, more social media data on businesses, be able to tap into understanding what that business activity is. Are they open? Are they closed due to COVID? And so as we start to adopt those new data sources, our clients also face the challenge of discovering them, integrating them into their services. And I think at least half of the challenge is just with a new data source is discovering it and then defining that data. If we can do that, whether it's through cloud data sharing technologies, whether it's through services like Uncork that help us predefine these workflows, make it more drag and drop, anything we can do strategically to lower that burden of discovering the data and being able to query the data as fast as possible, I think helps our clients investigate new data sources and find that marginal lift and better understand their customers ultimately.
Excellent, excellent. So, two-part question for you, Ben. How are banks deploying no code, and are there any security considerations when using a no code platform?
Yeah, let me actually take that in opposite order, if that's okay,
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'd like to react to what Carl just said, which I think is spot on. So we, as I said earlier, we set out to be enterprise grade. So all the security kind of questions were always meant to serve the largest financial institutions and other complex entities such as the city of New York and other large organizations. So we're a single tenant cloud. We of course adhere to all the security protocols that are required at the enterprise level, and we're deployed at these massive complex institutions at scale. So I think from a security point of view, not to get too deep into the specifics, but from a security point of view, that's exactly what we were trying to solve by being enterprise grade out of the box. The other question, the other kind of comment is, I think Carl's absolutely right? Like our ability to integrate with Experian and other providers and use relatively replicable workflows and user interfaces that are both enormously customizable, but also relatively modularized so that we can get speed to market is hugely powerful for what we're doing, right? So we're able to rapidly develop this stuff and then get it to market for our banking customers. And I think what's happened in COVID around small business is a great example of that, right? Prior to my life here at Uncork, I was at a bank. I was deeply involved in the PPP process, and what I can tell you is that that experience of rapidly deploying a digital solution was nearly impossible for many banks. And I think what we did here at Uncork for some of our customers and what Uncork provides is the capability to both design a bank-specific user experience, but in a rapid way to deploy digitally to solve problems that are arising quickly. So, and PPP is a good example of that. There are obviously other ones, but and then going forward, the ability to integrate with places like Experian on different types of data types, such as social and some of the other ones that Carl spoke of, I think will be very important in terms of how banks redefine their small business and business banking offerings, because post-COVID, we're all going to be trying to figure out how to serve that segment in a way that makes sense from both a credit and a service point of view.
Excellent. So, Carl, what challenges are you seeing with lenders adopting and integrating bureau and non-traditional data? I mean, non-traditional is a hot space right now.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think one of the challenges is just discovering the data and defining it and being able to start working with it. I think we experience that even internally. So there's just so many different data sources out there. How do you really prioritize what to go after? And so having it available in a single place is really key. If you had to continually define data and bring it into your database in order to work with it, it just becomes very, very challenging. We need to adopt technologies that take that burden away from our customers, Gary. We can't expect every customer to define the data source. We need to do it for them. And technologies like Unqork give us the ability to do that. And so I'm excited by that part. If we can lower the burden there, it can unleash data analysts and data scientists to really find out which data might be predictive. A lot of our customers want to find data that's going to be predictive of credit risk, predictive of delinquency. And we need to find ways that allow them to really focus their time on in the data, what data is actually going to be predictive. I don't want to spend all my time just defining the data just so I can test the top couple fields that I have a hunch on. I want to go deeper and really find that marginal value. And the technology is the key enabler that lets us do that. Go deeper
Ben,
into the data.
Thank you, Carl. So Ben, based on what we just heard from Carl, can you share some examples of how SMB lenders can fast track lending applications?
Sure. I mean, we're working with banks around both customer onboarding and also around the product development into the origination cycle. I think with what Carl's saying is right. To the extent that we can discover this data and get it at a deeper level, get it into the risk modeling infrastructure through the integrations that we as a platform can build, allows for will allow for more rapid adoption of alternative data sources, but also better credit decisioning. Particularly as I'm sort of feel passionately about a post-COVID world and the needs to take a different view as to how that credit risk moves, or how that credit risk is assessed.
Yeah. Well, this has been very interesting, guys. And folks, if you would like to learn more about no code and how to fast track applications and integrate with Experian APIs, Unqork is hosting a webinar March 24th at 12 Eastern. Experian is going to be participating in that. We're very excited to participate. If you would like to register, you can just point your phone at the QR code or go to the link that we have there. We'll leave that in the description for this video if you want to come back to this later. And by all means, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll be monitoring the comments in the next few days and replying to those. I want to thank both of you guys for taking time out today. I know you're both extremely busy, and looking forward to chatting with you again soon, and looking forward to the webinar on the 24th.
Pleasure, Gary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.